cracking and smashing through frozen seas. The Canadian Coast Guard icebreaker Henry Larsen. She rescues trapped vessels,
All stations.
even at the risk of collision.
Do not come closer than half a mile. Do not come closer than half a mile.
She keeps remote islands linked to the world, and she saves lives. There is no mission more challenging than Henry Larsen's. The frigid North Atlantic off the northeast coast of Newfoundland. This is the domain of the Canadian Coast Guard icebreaker Henry Larsen. A fighter. She can punch through ice that is 3 meters thick. Ships caught in the frozen sea depend on her for rescue, for survival. She patrols a rugged coast, bringing commercial ships and fishing boats through ice that can trap and crush them without her help. Today, she docks in Botwood, a small outport of 3,300 people. And then she'll head back out under the command of Captain John Van Thiel, a veteran mariner. He has more than 22 years' experience in these ice-laden waters.
And miss a lot of the heavy impact, which we haven't got on this chart. This is where heavy ice is right here when we came up the other day.
Larsen needs enough provisions to make her self-sufficient at sea for at least a month.
Well, you need everything, from pins to engine room stuff, right?
Everything from food and medical supplies to spare parts.
Now, as you can see, we carry everything from that.
Chief Logistics Officer Pat Boland makes sure they have all they need.
Most of our fresh fish, each Vidmar cabinet, all these Vidmars, are all fully stocked with spare parts. It's like a hardware store in a way.
Once she is loaded, the engines are fired up on the 8,000-ton, 100-meter ship. And a crane brings the last of the crew members aboard. It takes real power to get clear of the icebound dock. The 450-kilowatt thrusters blow nearly 7,000 liters of air per minute out openings in the ship's bow. Larsen powers through the ice on her way to Fogo Island. She can achieve a top speed of 16 knots. The icebreaker has a regular mission to keep the vital Fogo Island ferry moving. It's more than 100 kilometers away, and they have to get there for her next run. Larsen's bow is slanted. It allows the ship to ride up over the ice sheet. She then uses her weight to bear down on the ice, crushing it like a hammer. Second Officer Natasha Field charts the course to Fogo. The island is harsh, remote, and beautiful. People have carved out a life here for centuries. They have one vital link with the rest of the world, MV Beaumont Hamel, the Fogo Island Ferry. Captain Charlie Janes is the longest-serving Newfoundland ferry captain currently at sea.
Oh yes, I've been 25 years out on what we call the ferries. I've been going to sea for 40 years now, different type boats. Yeah, I'd be retired today if I didn't like it.
Everything goes by ferry to the island. People, vehicles, manufactured goods and supplies. All the things islanders depend on. Beaumont Hamel does 5 trips a day. However, she can't do it without Larsen to clear a way through the ice.
He's loading now, so I'll just get myself settled in this area and just wait for him to come up, and once he starts moving, we're going to start moving slowly ahead and let him settle in behind me.
On a morning like this, Larsen is in her element. Even though the crisp northern night has frozen the channel solid, the Icebreaker will keep the ferry on schedule. To help the Icebreaker along, the mechanism that blows air into her thrusters now diverts it to her bubblers.
The bubbler in ice is designed to blow a curtain of air up around the sides of the ship, so it lessens the friction between the ship and the ice.
There are 66 nozzles in the Larsen's bow and sides, just below the waterline. The air creates a cushion between the hull and the ice. With its help, she can travel 10% faster. The ferry docks at the Change Islands, halfway through her trip. From this point on, she's on her own. All the ferry docks are in water too shallow for the Icebreaker. On board Larsen, Denis Lambert studies the latest ice tracking information. Lambert is the ship's ice observer, or ice pick. Satellite data tells him where the ice is all up the coast.
With the radar sat image there, you know where the ice is located, but it's hard to tell what ice type it is.
The ice pick will have to see the ice for himself. From Larsen's secret weapon, a twin-engine helicopter. The ice pick is worried that a pressurized ice ridge may become a barrier to commercial shipping.
So with the ice record by helicopter, at least I can see what ice type it is, how thick it is, and also I can see if it's under pressure or not.
When pressure squeezes ice together and forces it upward, it can form a ridge up to 10 meters high. Power, second in command of the ship, becomes the flight deck officer. He coordinates the helicopter's mission with the bridge. Jim Marsh, the bosun or lead deckhand, handles the highly flammable aircraft fuel.
You usually take probably a couple, 300 liters. If you come here now, you can see. See? She's pretty well topped. That's as much as she's going to take there now, right? You see it in there, right?
The flight deck officer makes sure they abide by environmental regulations.
Any kind of spill at all today can give you a fine more than I'm worth, actually. More than that helicopter's worth. So we try to be very, very careful, right?
The mechanic does final checks, and pilot Jim Myra prepares to take flight.
The captain wants us to do a 50 or 75 mile ice reconnaissance around the area just to see what the ice conditions are like.
Ships and helicopters are a high-risk mix. It takes extra skill to take off or land because the wind swirling around the Icebreaker is treacherous. Myra contends with that and with the effect of taking off from a moving platform. Lambert's fears are realized. The ice ridge is formidable.
Last week is we got 2 storms and it just brought all this ice and just piled it in almost a wall of ice for about maybe a kilometer wide, maybe 15 to 20 feet thick.
The reconnaissance team spots a vessel trapped in the ice. Larsen has to get to her quickly. Night is falling, and the crushing ice is moving in. A cargo ship is imprisoned in the ice off Newfoundland. Icebreaker Henry Larsen races to her rescue. Joe Gorthon, headed to Barbados, is packed to the gills with newsprint. If the ice shifts dramatically while she's trapped, things could get even worse. Powerful winds can pressure the ice till it breaks. The broken pieces grind into each other, and that leads to big trouble.
When you get northerlies or northeasterlies, that's when the ice gets pressed on the northeast coast, and that's when the problems are.
Ice can puncture and sink ships even if they have a reinforced hull. Joe Gorthon doesn't have that, so she's especially vulnerable. As Larsen rushes to free her, pilot Jim Myra must return his helicopter to the Icebreaker.
Roger, Shade 5-4, clear to land on arrival.
It's tougher than landing a fighter jet on an aircraft carrier.
The wind was fairly strong. We had about a 25 or 30 knot wind, and the wind coming over the superstructure creates a lot of turbulence. It was probably on the upper end of what I would land on the ship with.
Larsen is almost at the trapped ship. Her 3 massive diesel engines push hard. They don't turn the propellers directly. They drive powerful generators. 12 megawatts of power, enough to supply 7,000 homes. They deliver 16,000 horsepower to her twin propellers. It takes muscle to throw herself onto the ice. Finally, Joe Gorthon is in sight.
Midships, yeah, leave your wheel in midships.
Wheels midships.
Get hard to port now.
Hard to port.
Captain Van Thiel must execute this rescue with surgical precision. He must cut a path around the trapped vessel. That will relieve the ice pressure. To avoid collision, he must make sure the 2 ships don't get their signals crossed.
Joe Gorthon, and Larsen 10.
Joe Gorthon.
Yes, sir. Just before we get underway, I'm going to show you my ice-breaking siren and turn on my ice-breaking horn. Do you understand the concept that if you see the flashing red light on my aft mast, or you hear my ice-breaking horn, you must bring your ship to a complete stop?
Yes, I understood, sir. I have the instruction from the pilot for how do we make the operation over.
Roger, I will turn on the light and siren now.
Yes, I can see the light.
We have to understand each other 100%. Quite often we do have ships coming into this area where English is not their first language, so sometimes there is communication difficulties.
Larsen carefully carves the path around the cargo ship.
Okay, give her about 20 degrees starboard wheel. 20 degrees starboard wheel.
If these vessels collide, there's no other icebreaker around to help them. The path is cut. Joe Gorthon is drawn into the vacuum created in Larsen's wake.
We'll start proceeding ahead now, and you can bring your speed up to 8 knots. You can bring your speed up to 8 knots. Once we make 8 knots, we will see if we can go any further, but do not go faster than 8 knots. I will be working between half a mile and up to 4 miles ahead of you. Try and work your way through the ice. Do not come closer than half a mile. Do not come closer than half a mile.
Copy, not close the half a mile.
Instead of going right to this hard piece of ice, see those little puddles up ahead? Work your way over there.
If Joe Gorthon follows too closely, she could rear-end Larsen if the icebreaker slows up on the ice. And if Joe Gorthon falls too far behind Larsen, the ice could trap her again. They push faster toward open water, but Joe Gorthon can't keep up, and the ice moves in.
Joe Gorthon.
Aye.
Roger, is your ship stopped now?
Yes, we stop again.
The bigger the ship, the more power needed to get through ice. And Joe Gorthon's engines are not up to the task. The ice has a close grip. Larsen will have to get closer and pulverize the ice with her propellers. It's touch and go. The two ships are mere meters from each other. But it works. Joe Gorthon is safely in open water. Her crew no doubt eager for their Caribbean destination.
Thank you very much, sir. This is the great.
It's getting dark. And Larsen has to get back to Fogo Island and her routine escort of the ferry. But nothing is ever routine for an icebreaker. Larsen has spent the night freeing a stuck cargo ship. By morning, she's back at her regular job, leading the Fogo Island ferry on the dawn run.
Once we make the first crossing with you, we'll probably make a second one, and that'll open up the track for you, and hopefully you'll be able to make the rest of the day's crossing on your own.
Yeah, that's right.
The ferry is okay. However, Larsen could be called away at any time. The icebreaker is part of a search and rescue network all over these waters. Distress calls in this area go through the Joint Rescue Coordination Center in Halifax. Then they call Larsen and the 103 Search and Rescue Helicopter Squadron in Gander. And that call could come soon because they've heard that up the coast, the cargo vessel Finwood is headed for trouble.
Yeah, I guess I'll just hang tight here and see which way he goes. Yeah, same to you. Bye. I'm anticipating still getting a call from him, so we're going to be sort of standing by.
It's a perfect opportunity for Cadet Chase Burdett to get some hands-on training. Navigation through ice is extremely challenging.
Albert, can you bring her to 200, please?
Steady on 200.
200, thank you.
But the Coast Guard makes tough jobs look easy.
Just go to 254 first. Line up your course line first.
Burdett is training to be in command. He has to be fast and accurate. The chief officer keeps a watchful eye. One minor miscalculation, and Burdett could put the safety of the icebreaker and the lives of all 31 crew in jeopardy.
Albert, could you please bring her to 205, please?
Port 205.
Yep, thank you.
And cadets aren't the only ones honing their skills. Ice rescues are never routine in these waters. Launching a lifeboat is even a challenge. The crew practices lowering the lifeboat gently. If they ever evacuate on ice, they can't just drop it. It would hit the frozen water like concrete and smash to bits. Enclosed lifeboats can be dangerous, even in a drill. Last year, 21 people were overcome by engine exhaust in a similar exercise.
Starboard lifeboat, Kevin, whenever you're ready. Now you can come alongside her, please.
Noxious fumes were sucked into the open back hatch of their lifeboat. But they weren't Coast Guard. The lifeboat is secured, but the drills aren't over. Quartermaster Shannon Shepard and cook Rhonda Mercer throw on their superhero identities. They're the rescue specialist team, ready to respond to a man overboard. Without a survival suit, the North Atlantic will kill within minutes. Response time is critical. The FRC, or Fast Rescue Craft, practices a rapid search of the area surrounding Larsen. If someone fell into the water, it would take only 2 minutes before the body goes into cold shock. And swimming only speeds up hypothermia. If the FRC hits ice, the collision could kill. That's why they drill, drill, and drill again. There are so many ways to get hurt on a ship, the exercises are limitless.
What, you okay?
You feel any pain anywhere?
Leg.
This one is a simulated tumble down the stairs, not unheard of in the rough northern seas. These first aid specialists stabilize the victim.
Okay, you guys ready? 2, 3. 2, 3.
Worst is behind you.
The ship has a fully equipped medical facility, but for serious trauma, they call in the cavalry, the 103 Search and Rescue Squadron.
103 Squadron, Major Nellis. Okay, you've got a mission for us?
Stand by crew dock, stand by crew dock.
The Cormorant can carry 12 stretchers and usually flies with a crew of 5, including the 2 search and rescue technicians. At a top speed of 280 kilometers per hour, they fly regular patrols. And on this one, they spot a ship headed for trouble. The call has already come in to Captain Van Thiel. Finnwood can't get past the ice.
He reported that he was having a few problems going through the ice on his way to Botwood, and right now the Finnwood is stopped here.
The Swedish-owned Finnwood is trying to get from St. John's to Botwood to pick up a load of pulp and paper. But she's been stopped cold, blocked by a massive ridge of pressurized ice.
Now the winds are northerly and they just press the ice against the coast and makes it much, much harder.
Strong winds and currents created the pressure ridge. And conditions are not going to get better. There's a storm on the way.
25 degrees port wheel, sir.
If Finnwood is trapped out there in a North Atlantic storm, she will be in serious danger. Henry Larsen is on a mission to rescue the trapped cargo ship Finnwood. Finnwood has been making her way slowly through ice-clogged seas north of Newfoundland.
So we're hoping to hook up with the Finnwood's track and then get ahead and start commencing our escort.
Finnwood is up against a massive barrier. A ridge of pressurized ice, 3 kilometers wide, blocking her way to Botwood.
Once you get into that loose track up ahead, you'll probably be able to follow it right up to him. Make sure you come around after his beam like that. Okay, just steady like that should be good.
Finnwood will wait in open water while Larsen attacks the ice.
Finnwood, Larsen, 10.
Yes, Finnwood replying.
Yes, sir. Just to let you know that we have to go into Botwood Harbor to break up the ice.
It's okay by me. You can pass.
Roger, I'll be passing on your port side. Passing on your port side.
Larsen lunges at the ice ridge. She won't be able to open a path for Finnwood very easily. Larsen's ice hazard radar shows highly detailed images of the ridge.
Put a lot of snow cover, and as you can see ahead of us, there's a lot of buildup of ice piled up. A lot of ridging up ahead of us.
The radar detects weak targets in the ice. That helps Larsen cut an opening using a herringbone technique. Her bow cuts a channel down the middle. She swings to port and starboard to widen the path. Then Larsen's stern pushes the ice into open water.
And depending on the ice conditions, this could take us anywhere from a couple of hours to 12 hours. And we're hoping to make good headlong progress and try and get into the fast ice before the sun sets.
It's an enormous job. The submerged part of a pressure ridge can be up to 5 times as thick as what's above the surface. Nightfall. Captain Van Thiel is still smashing his way through ice, and he won't give up. If the storm hits before the path is cut, all his work could be undone. 13 hours later, the Icebreaker has carved a channel and contacts the cargo ship.
We have made a track through the pressurized ice. You can now proceed.
But it might not be that easy. Captain Van Thiel is concerned the path won't be wide enough at a critical turn.
I'm trying to widen the track a bit so I can get the other vessel underway, and hopefully he'll be able to make it through first time.
Larsen leads Finnwood and monitors her progress on radar. She reaches the turn and makes it through. Now Finnwood can go the rest of the way on her own.
Coming in on the range now.
Suddenly, the radar picks up movement, coming in fast. 103 Search and Rescue Squadron from Gander springs a surprise drill on Larsen. It's designed to keep both crews on high alert. This time, it's a simulated night airlift from the rear deck. It's one of the most dangerous rescues this squadron does. The pilot has to hover above a moving ship. As he puts people down the hoist, he has to avoid the masts and wires that could pull his chopper out of the sky if they get tangled up. It takes tremendous skill. There's a powerful downwash from the cormorant's rotor. It's like being in a hurricane. It could blow a person off the deck. Mission accomplished. But there are urgent matters that only Larsen can handle. The storm that was forecast is almost here. Larsen must speed ahead to Fogo Island, where she's about to face her most challenging ferry escort of the year. Henry Larsen is at Fogo Island, and so is the most vicious blizzard in years. Larsen is here to escort the island's ferry to the mainland, because there's no way the ferry can cross alone.
Yeah, these conditions are really beyond his limits.
The winds are hurricane force, up to 130 kilometers an hour. They're blowing snow and moving ice that has stopped the Fogo Island ferry dead in its tracks. They have to wait out the storm. The next morning, things aren't much better, but the islanders need the ferry to cross today. Nobody has been on or off Fogo for 36 hours. It's cut off from the rest of the world. The wind drops slightly and is forecast to drop even more. It's a window of opportunity. Captain Van Thiel must risk a crossing. He orders the engine room to start Larsen up. Normally, it takes 45 minutes to bring the Icebreaker to full power from a cold start. But today, they can't wait that long. Larsen's engineers have to get her humming in 15 minutes. Ice is the harshest of marine environments. Every key link in the ship's operation must be double-checked. Survival depends on the rudder, propellers, and engines being in top condition.
Hard to starboard.
While Larsen gears up for her battle with the blizzard, the Fogo Islanders board the ferry. They're embarking on one of the most difficult crossings this ferry has ever made. The ice around Beaumont Hamel is as strong as concrete. But the Icebreaker's propellers are stronger. They churn the frozen surface, smashing ice like a blender.
If I go in and I use too much horsepower, what it'll do, it'll pile up the snow and almost cause a dam right in front of them, just the same as the city plow dumping a bunch of snow in front of your driveway.
Larsen's hull is now only a few meters from the rocky bottom. If the propellers hit it, the ship's propulsion system could be damaged.
I can only back so far towards the dock because the limited depth off the dock only allows my props to get so close, so I've allowed myself 3 to 4 meters of leeway.
The next 14 kilometers will be the toughest ferry run these two ships have ever tried.
With that snow, he's going to have to use a bit of extra thruster power just to get through that.
And sometimes if we haven't got an icebreaker, well, I don't know what we would do. Everything goes on the island depends on this ferry. If there's no ferry, there's nothing moving on the island.
Captain Janes and Captain Van Thiel have 60 years at sea between them. They'll need every minute of that experience today. The narrow channel that Larsen creates only stays open for a few minutes. Then the frozen water closes in and threatens to trap the ferry. The gale and the ice multiply the risk of two ships working so closely together.
Wind just takes this one blows her back and forth, eh?
One misstep in their dangerous dance and they'll collide. The wind is not dying down. It's blowing the ferry back as she tries to get into the Change Island channel. Larsen can only wait. The channel is too shallow for her. And then the fierce wind starts spinning the little ferry in circles.
Charlie's probably the best operator of that vessel. He's aggressive, and he'll try anything to get her going. He's there. He goes. He got his stern in now. He's going to get her head into the track. He's only got about another 90 degrees to go. So if he can keep her spinning like that.
There are 200 people on Change Island. They've been cut off for 2 days. They desperately need the food and other supplies the ferry is carrying.
Come on, Emma, go ahead.
Yeah, I get to try getting Change Island there. I get the food truck on board, or?
Since yesterday, 60 centimeters of snow have fallen, and that is making it difficult to get into the dock.
A lot of patience. It wears you out. As long as you got patience, now good.
Finally, the food truck rolls onto the dock. With this leg of the journey over, the ferry is back in the channel behind Larsen. Captain Janes has to fight the harsh winter winds that threaten to push him off course.
He took a pretty good whack. He was over on the north side, and the wind caught him.
There's ice in the ferry's path.
Our own ship is actually bouncing from side to side. We're actually disturbing the ice track, and fairly large pieces of ice are falling off the ice edge.
It's too much. The ferry is stopped dead. Larsen has to go back and rescue her.
As I back down at this slow speed, I got a 40 knot wind that, with the helicopter hangar extended, it almost acts like a mizzen sail and wants to turn the stern into the wind.
The ferry's half-hour trip to Farewell will take hours.
We've got a mixed bag this year. Not a typical Labrador, but then again, the old folks call it the old-fashioned one.
Yeah. We've had a bit of trouble with ice when it comes to the ferry. Been stuck on her quite a few times.
After 5 hours, they see the Farewell dock. Larsen swings off the track and uses propeller wash to clear the path. But the ferry has to ram over and over to reach the storm-battered dock. Captain Janes has some tricks up his sleeve. He spins his propellers in opposite directions to shift the ice from the ferry's path.
Usually when I'm backing up or doing it, I do 28 and one astern. That way a little bit on her, keeps her kind of working her way back. But anyhow, that's the way I do it.
Yeah, just under 5 hours, we had the crossing from Flogo to Farewell. If I'd known in advance what the wind conditions are like, I don't think we wouldn't have made an attempt to carry out the crossing.
And they still have to get back to Fogo before dark.
Oh, Larsen, go ahead.
I guess this will be the last trip for the day, over?
Yeah, roger. And the forecast for tomorrow looks quite favorable.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, should look a lot better tomorrow.
Night falls, and the two battle-scarred ships sail into Fogo. A return journey that usually takes 90 minutes has taken 7 exhausting hours. But the Icebreaker has no time to rest.
A report of 2 longliners stuck in ice about 9 miles northwest of Tulingate, and they were about a mile into the ice.
The fishing boats have thin, fragile hulls that won't withstand the grinding ice, and that ice is closing in. The only ship that can help them. is Larsen. The Coast Guard icebreaker Henry Larsen just led the Fogo Island ferry on a heroic run through a blizzard. There's barely been time to breathe. Night has fallen, and Larsen is on the move again. There are 2 fishing boats trapped in the ice, and Larsen must rescue them.
We had 2 longliners besetting ice. They were about 9 miles northwest of Twillingate Long Point.
This isn't like her other rescues. Fishing boats are small. They're vulnerable. And the darkness adds to the danger. Captain Van Thiel keeps the lights off on the bridge to give him better night vision.
Okay, you can start easing her back to 285 now. Back to 285.
The ice can rip open the thin hull on either of the longliners and cause catastrophic flooding. Or it can make the boat unstable so it rolls over.
Even north of Fogo, that's still blocked off too, over?
Yep, looks like the water's just behind you, so I think the best bet, I'll bring this fellow out to the water and I'll come down and get you.
Okay, thanks for that.
Longliners use stabilizers, long poles that hang out from their sides to steady themselves in rolling seas.
I advise both longliners, if they had the stabilizer bars, to please put them up in a stowed position.
Larsen won't hit the stabilizers if they're up, but her approach could push crushing ice at the fishing boats, even from a distance. That could be as devastating as a collision.
I maneuvered the Larsen over to his starboard, used the prop wash just to move the ice around a bit, and as I moved forward, the Larsen stern left a bit of a water pocket, so the sea surfer could maneuver in right immediately behind my stern.
Everything goes according to Captain Van Thiel's plan.
285.
And the sea surfer is free.
And from here, this fellow should be okay to move on his own. Okay, hard port. Hard port. Thank you. And we'll go back and grab the next guy.
The smaller boat is even more delicate, and her hull more fragile.
Biggest concern for these guys is pushing ice down on their prop. If there is a large piece of ice between us and him, I gotta make sure that I don't drive that ice in towards his propulsion system. Or next thing, we'll have a tow job.
It's touch and go. And half an hour later, the second boat is free. Captain Van Thiel updates them on the surrounding ice conditions.
There's not much hope for any longliner inside to try and get out. And like I said, it's all heavy stuff. Lots of rafting, ridging onto it, and some big flows into it.
Okay, yes, yeah. Okay, then, boy, thanks for that. Thanks for your assistance there now. So, anyway, we'll see what happens there. Appreciate what you're doing there, over.
Right, the same to you, and take care, and I guess you guys will just have to settle back for a few days, see what happens with the ice.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, thanks.
Sure. Ours is clear.
The last few days have been grueling, but Larsen has done her job well. Her crew has earned a break. And it's coming up. Their 28-day long tour of duty is over. Larsen carries them home to Botwood. And a month of civilian life.
You guys see how light a professional packs?
But for the Icebreaker, civilian life never comes. Another captain and another crew board. And Henry Larsen goes back to her relentless battle with the ice.